Let's get back to Copenhagen and Denmark. You've decided to, you got this job. It takes all the skills you learned over, the last 10, 15 years of hard knocks, from wedding videography through to door knocking sightings to selling barrels. Um, so you worked for them. So what happened next after you got this role in this startup?
Yeah, it's one of those really strange things. I think the change in ecosystems, going from US East Coast, which is incredibly competitive. I did a touch of public speaking over there and showing some of the earliest hacks that I had put together in terms of being able to figure out how to do mail merges, dynamic emails that were pulling in HTML feeds to show regular updates of apartments. And, that was a little bit of razzle dazzle and interesting, showing how I took Wedding Wire, which is this really another wedding thing. It was an app in the States. It's huge now, but basically optimizing their keywords to push them up to number one within their niches. So I don't know. I'm having a tough week, so I've been basically giving myself probably a harder time than I actually am. But I realized when I got here that I was one of maybe 500 people that did what I did in DC. Out in Denmark, given that it was so much smaller of an ecosystem, I was one of five. So you start sitting down with people and it's like, Jesus, like I learned this stuff 3, 4, 5 years ago. What are you guys doing?
Yep.
And it was really earth shattering because there is this work-life balance and this whole ideology of 37-hour work weeks, spend time with your friends and your family, don't kill yourself with work. And I come from a very opposite background, which is your job is your life. Fall in love with whatever it is that you do, or at least fall in love with the end result, which is making money so that you can support yourself and the people in your inner circle. Otherwise, what's the point? And so you meet a bunch of people that don't share that mentality, and people thought I was stupid, which was the craziest thing. They're like, I got all my work done in 6 hours. Why are you still here? And it's almost midnight, And I'm like, well, do you genuinely think, Franz, that your 6 hours compares to my 12? Is that possible? And so you start to kind of realize I'm not a perfect fit for the particular place that I went into. And so, yeah, within a 6-month period, I was out. And it wasn't my choice. So,
Right.
so you learn very quickly, like, like got to play by a ecosystem. So I was very quickly, 5 days later, picked up by a company that did construction project management software, which, disrupting the way that a very old school industry works, and basically putting everything digitalized, instead of having a bunch of spreadsheets on a clipboard, which is how still the construction industry operates.
Yep.
This was all digital. So that was kind of the next journey for a year and 8 months.
So was that part of the journey to launch the architecture quote business?
Yeah. Well, if you remember, I was talking about how I experienced incompetencies within this home remodeling business. If you can look upwards and see somebody that is clearly making moves and their trajectory is an upward path, and you're not necessarily getting the impression that they're doing as good of a job as you potentially could,
Mm-hmm.
then the idea is like, cool, what do I need to do in order to take his spot? And so that was the beginning of the journey, mixed in with I met a bunch of architects out here. I'd never met an architect in the States prior. So through a couple of conversations, I'm like, wait, you guys only do work or find projects via word of mouth? Like, and that point, it was 2018. They're like, yeah, what else would you use? I'm like, well, the internet, like, what do you mean? So it kind of opened up some interesting scenarios. And yeah, I started working on nights and weekends to be able to build something that I thought would be really interesting to an industry that had very low digitalization.